Hey everyone, it's Mike Sullivan from mo.com. Thanks for joining me today. Today I'm talking with Neil Modi of nrelate. If you or your company has a blog, or if you're a blogger, then you will be interested in Neil's product. Neil developed a piece of software that will help engage visitors to find additional content on your site or elsewhere. Neil, thanks for joining us today. Would you mind telling us a little bit about the product?
Sure. So nrelate is a content marketing and recommendation company. So what we do is we provide software to websites, very much like mo.com or other publishers around the web, that help retain their visitors to engage in their traffic more, right? So what we do is give them a little piece of code that they put on their website, and then what it does is it allows their site visitors to find more content from their archives or other partners that they set up that they might like. And then it also allows the site owner to engage in a form of advertising that's called content marketing, which they can actually make money. So let me draw the picture since it's a little easier to describe. We actually are on over 20,000 sites, so you've probably seen our software as you navigate the web. So when you read an article on a publisher, let's say a blogger, and you scroll to the bottom and you see the section says you may also like, or related articles or anything like that, that could be our software. And in there what you'll see is links to other articles you may be interested in reading. You've probably clicked on these on some sites. Links to partners that the publisher could set up and basically circulate traffic amongst their peers or colleagues or other sites that the site owner has, or monetize through sending traffic to places that the user might be interested in going. So it's very simple, straightforward. It's basically a new software that helps sites increase traffic and also lets them make money while giving their site visitors something that they actually would like on the site.
So Neil, tell me a little bit about your background and what kind of led you up to creating this software.
Yeah, sure. So I actually have a pretty varied background. So I went to school here in New York pretty much for my entire educational career, but it spanned through really a math, statistical, and kind of computer science background. And then over time, I worked at big consulting companies, but I'd always been interested in content, and I actually went back for graduate work in philosophy up at Columbia University because I guess I'm a reader by heart. My apartment is littered with books. I consume content nonstop, and that's what really got me into this space. And so a few years ago, I was just thinking about kind of where this space was on the internet, and we weren't really impressed, some friends and I, with what kind of recommendations were given on sites. And so what we found was what was happening is I'd actually have to go back. I'd go to a site, I'd see some stuff I'd like, but not exactly what. And I'd go back to Google and search more, and I might end up on a same page of that same site that I didn't hit before, right? So I'd hit the same site, and so somehow Google helped me find something I'd like on the same site I was already just on. Right? And so I said, something's wrong here. The system's a little broken, and I thought we could build some software that really kind of helps the publisher have the user stay on their site longer, and also bring out content that might be useful for a reader. And so, in typical fashion, we started working nights and weekends, some friends and I, on this software, and then we kind of tested it on a few sites, and people really liked what we were doing. So we quit everything else we were doing and started this company about 2 years ago.
What kind of feedback are you receiving from people that are using nrelate?
Yeah, so we've heard nothing but praise. Actually, we've been really lucky. I'd ask you to go ahead and Google us and read some of the reviews that people have about us. I think we've definitely elevated the space. I think this has been around for a little while, but never gotten the attention it really rightfully deserves. So what in pure numbers speak, what we do is we do an average page view increase for people of over 6%. right? So if you just install this software on your site, you'll see your core web KPIs. They're called, key performance indicators, which is, your page views increase, your bounce rate decrease, your average time on site go up. And so for publishers, large and small, these are really core metrics that are important, and our software does that completely for free. Right, and then obviously the next big question is it for publishers that want to use this as a revenue source? Recall that I mentioned the third option, which is allowing third parties to essentially put in a related article that is sponsored. How much money does it make? And so we've seen great engagement on those units as well. And so some publishers are making more than what they're making from other ad mechanisms like AdSense and et cetera on our software. So,
is there a cost for using nrelate?
No, so it's completely free to the publishers. I mentioned before that I'm a content lover, so we give the software completely free to publishers. There's absolutely no cost, and the only money changing hands is if they turn on the optional advertising, and once they do, the third party advertiser pays us, and we actually give money back to the publisher. So not only is it a way to increase traffic, but it's also a way to increase revenues without taking other advertising off your page or other different units off your page.
You managed to build up to 20,000 sites using nrelate in about a year. How did you manage that? What was your marketing strategy?
Well, yeah, it's a little more than a year, but yeah, we're just about at 20,000 sites using our software. I'd actually credit my partner Oliver Wellington with the strategy around that. So we basically looked at the landscape of publishing online, right? And so you have these big heavyweights, the AOLs of the world, MSNs, Huffington Post, New York Times, and all these big companies. And I think if you're a small startup like us, you can't realistically think they're going to try out your software, no matter how good it looks or what connections you may or may not have. It's really tough to go through. So we took very opposite approach. We started figuring out who in the blogosphere would, has a decent audience that the software would compel to, that really take kind of publishing seriously. We reached out to them, talked about what they like and don't like about products in this area, and really built our product around their input. And then from there, we tried to keep it open source. Our front end is completely open source, so people change it, modify it. If you notice one thing, our software, I'll send you some samples after this, you'll see that it actually looks very different on different sites, because not every site is the same. And some are more artistically driven, some are more just pure text. Give me the recommendation in straight text, and so our software lets publishers decide that, and so what happened was we got our core audience built pretty quickly, and quickly they recommended it to their peers, and people started seeing it on those sites, and it kind of grew from there. And then over time, I think what happened was we get to this place where you get this kind of critical mass number where it just kind of grows from itself. So now we're getting close to 100 new installs a day. And obviously getting bigger publishers interested in what we're doing and all that kind of stuff. So it's great. It'll be a good 2012. Keeping up on the tech side is the hard part sometimes.
Outbrain is known as raising a huge amount of capital. In comparison, you're a relatively small company, but experiencing massive growth. How are you able to compete with that on a lower budget?
I wouldn't say we really compete with them. We're very different types of companies. I admire them. I think they've done a great job. But again, we're very different, right? So, like I said, the genesis of the company is very different. We believe in serving the entire publishing landscape, and we really focus on a different area of the market right now. And I think they're doing a great job, but also they've been able to throw a lot of money at the problem. What we've done is we're a team of 5 full time. Our part-time and intern staff are great, but we're really five people pushing this, and I think, I think, we have publishers that compare us all the time, but I don't want to speak negatively about them in any capacity. They've done a great job. I like to say that we're just a different company. I mean, we look at content differently. We look at our main goal is the view of the publisher and not necessarily the advertiser, and I think that's resonated with a lot of our customers.
Neil, what's your advice to others out there who have a great idea and they're thinking about making the move to start a business?
Yeah, I mean, I've learned a lot. So I'm a little older. I'm 30. I just turned 35, right? So I'm a little late for getting into the startup world, or the typical entrepreneur in the startup world, I'd say. And so, one, I'd say, if you've been thinking about it, do it earlier, right? My body can't keep up as well as it used to. Even though I don't sleep much, I would have loved to have done this a long time ago. That being said, coming to it late has its advantages as well, right? You kind of have a longer view of things. You have obviously financial resources maybe that you've saved that help, bootstrap the company for a while. And I'd say, with the internet, there's a lot of noise right now, so you have to really think things are going to take a little longer than expected. I mean, any good startup story does take a while. I mean, we always hear these overnight success stories. Those are rare, right? I mean, we've been at this for about 2 years, and I only now feel like we're getting to a place that we're just breaking through the noise in this area, right? To where, people hear about us. We get inbound requests through our contact form from like name brand publishers, name brand advertisers. So what I'd say, my advice is, one, start it as soon as you can. If you've been thinking about it, every day that goes by is a day that's lost. And two, be patient once you start. It takes a while, and there's and be ready for a long haul.